I am Thomas. Hope all's well. Today we're at the Evergreen Cemetery in Brooklyn, New York. We're looking at a headstone, and because of you know, course of time, close to 200 years,
Putnam.
the inscription is no longer readable. But what it once read, is the following: Strod, Putnam, a soldier. Tell my friends I was facing the enemy when I was shot. Here's a picture of Strod. This last sentence that I just read you is a quotation from a letter which he sent to his parents shortly after being wounded the second time at Petersburg. Now, this is why I kind of do these videos. There are a lot of stories that have gone by through the course of time of various individuals that people have forgotten because it's been so long. But some stories are not meant to be forgotten, such as the case for Mr. Putnam. And his story is extraordinary. I wonder if many of us would be able to have that same type of courage that he had. As we're walking around the cemetery here, and you see the how the cemetery looks like now. Remember, this is an individual that had died close to 200 years ago. Mr. Putnam was involved in the Civil War. Well, let me read you a little bit about Mr. Putnam. The youngest soldier in the Union Army. Now, much has been said and written concerning Strod Putnam, who was undoubtedly the youngest private in the ranks at the time of the war. Now, Strod, he was a big fellow for his age, so much overgrown that he had little to no difficulty in passing for IS, when, as a matter of fact, he was only 14 years old when he had enlisted for the Civil War to fight, protect our country. He was the son of a male editor of the New York Herald. He had lived in Brooklyn and was just attending Public School 14 the day before he donned the uniform of the 14th. Now, he had shouldered his musket with the overgrown men of the regiment and served through the hottest part of the campaign, being present at half a dozen battles and being twice wounded. And even once, he was taken prisoner. This last mentioned piece of ill luck occurred at the Battle of Spotsylvania. But the boy did not remain in the custody of the rebels very long, for he had escaped by jumping the Confederate rifle pits amid a shower of bullets and succeeded in rejoining his company. While charging on the batteries at Petersburg, he was shot in the body, the ball passing entirely through him, within an eighth of an inch of his heart. Now, he was taken to Lincoln General Hospital in Washington with nothing upon his person but a pair of drawers, his regimental jacket, and a old rebel gray cap, which he had picked while being a prisoner at Spotsylvania. Now, he never really fully recovered from the effects of his wound, but just as soon as he was able to get around, he requested at the time to be given light duty. And his wish was granted. He was sent north to guard some rebel prisoners in what is now Newark, New Jersey. Now, while seated, and he was his job was to stand guard at that point that day. He had a revolver in his hip pocket, and while he was on guard, he had sat down. He tilted his chair a little bit too far, and he fell to the ground. Now, when he had fallen to the ground, now unfortunately, the pistol in his pocket, it exploded, and the ball from it entered his leg at the back of the knee joint. Now keep in mind, he was not in the best of health, best of medical conditions. He already had been wounded and injured prior. So this kind of put him even worse. And this shot, this wound, would have not been fatal had he not been in such a weakened condition already from all the other wounds he received. After this accident, he was in a fight for his life. He hung on for several weeks, but unfortunately, he died peacefully at his parents' home after several weeks.
Putnam.
And after passing away, he was buried here in the falling leaf section of the Evergreen Cemetery. And the inscription, once again, which has faded away after all this course of time. It read, "A soldier died a martyr to his country. Tell my friends I was facing the enemy when I was shot." Now, Strod is considered one of, if not the youngest private in the ranks at the time of the war. Can you imagine that? Being that young and being already a private, having a rank. Even that, just enlisting in a war. When others are playing with their toys, he's going to war. Rest in peace, soldier.